A concern one might raise about basing something on Git is, do we have confidence that Git won't go through the Python 2 to 3 transition where there's a totally incompatible new version that replaces it? We've seen this happen in a fair number of software products, which cause great grief for users. And we also have to address the issue that any system we adopt for TechLive really has to work on every single platform that Tech runs on, and that's pretty much everything. And since I'm not a regular Git user, I use Git pulls now and then to pull down snapshots of trees, but I don't store my own data in Git. I don't have a feeling for to what extent one can trust Git from platform to work the same.
So yeah, sorry, my microphone was switched off. What I see is currently Git is compatible over platforms. So we use it in Windows, we use it similarly under Linux. We see that the tools, the front end, they sometimes make grief. So, but the downstairs, the fundamental, the real Git machine, that's very stable, and I don't believe that it will change in the next 20 years to anything incompatible. It is so nicely thought out that it will keep. So that's my impression. The question I had was whether everything now should be more from the archival point of view, or more from serving a customer or a user some easy to use thing. Because it would be easy to have indeed a Git file system and change copies which so that it just fetches on the fly out from this repository something, and it would be something one could serve as a pack file to a user, yes, for sure. But I wonder, because whether we should keep history. Are we really interested in such a system in files which are 20 years old? Will the user need them? I don't know.
I think users may well need files 20 or more years old. A few months ago, I retrieved the document in LaTeX that I had written in the mid-1980s, which is now more than 35 years ago, and it typeset without problems. That was really very pleasant. I didn't have to change a single line. And for publishers, they, of course, are interested in selling their products. And in order to sell the product, they have to be able to deliver it. To deliver it, they have to have the same, or at least a software layer that allows them to go back to old things and produce them in new formats. That's one of the reasons why many of them are very keen on having a very strongly marked up XML form of input files that they can produce in PDF format or ebook or HTML and so on. And I think there's certainly lots of evidence in science that we really have to be able to reproduce old things. In mathematics, we need to reproduce proofs that are 3,000 years old. So yes, I think we do have to have a very long-term view of being able to recover data exactly as it was when it was produced, and to be able to reproduce the documents that it originally produced.
I'll say a few words about the question of reproducibility and also the question of version control. So Git depends on what's called a secure hash. Now, a hash is secure until it's broken. If the hash is broken, then you now have to depend upon the gatekeepers to the system not admitting imposters. So MD5 is a hash that is broken, and you can produce a PDF file. In fact, you can produce two PDF files that have the same MD5 hash, and they're both letters of reference. And one of them is highly favorable, and the other is a stinker. And so you can't trust an MD5 hash. And if MD5 hashes are used for things like security certificates, you can't trust the security certificate either. A few years ago, some people used, I think it was SHA-1, Git uses SHA-1 is called for its hashes. And some people spent about $100,000 of computer time, if they got it at commercial rates, to produce 2 PDF files that have the same SHA-1 hash. So that makes breaking it feasible. Git has two elements of protection in this. The first is that the content of a PDF file is rather random, so you can put what is effectively random noise in the file in order to fuzz up one file so it hashes becomes the second. The other is that a Git file starts with the size of the file. So that makes it much harder to solve that problem, do that problem. Git is now taking this problem quite seriously, and work is underway to use the next version of the secure hash algorithm and to do it in a transparent way. So that's the issue of security. There are, roughly speaking, 2 ways to ensure that data persists. Actually, they both go back a very, very long time. The one is to carve it into a durable medium, such as stone. So we have the Rosetta Stone, which allows us to translate languages. The other is to have some means of knowing that the data is correct. And that is, if you like, oral transmission. Oral transmission was used and is still used in Islam for the secure data, secure passage. And the modern version of oral transmission is, I wrote the secure hash down on a piece of paper and it hasn't left my wallet. So we certainly need safe bit bands, but we also need something like secure hashes. And because of its close association with Linux, one would expect Git to score very highly on the durability stakes. Linux is developed on Git. Git was developed to support Linux development. The large number of users using Git are in some sense one of the best guarantees we have for its durability, reliability. And one of the enhancements that's come recently is the ability to put large files into the history without completely bloating everything. So if you put a large file into your history, if you mark it as a large file, this is an enhancement of Git. It's only downloaded if you actually need it. So in terms of the basic technology, I think content addressable store has got a lot going for it. And in terms of the precise technology, i.e. you've settled on content addressable store, I think Git has got a lot going for it. But that said, security involves being suspicious of everything. So until trust builds up, you'll do belt and braces. I'm sort of thinking that CTAN might provide a good prototype for this sort of thing, because it would allow, it could make CTAN work better and more simply, particularly if people are submitting material that's already in a Git repository. Git repositories are pretty reliable,